This truck is not just built for looks. It's built so I can hunt, fish, go to the shooting range, go get groceries, travel off grid for 3 weeks at a time, and not be worried about getting stuck, stranded, hurt, and get home with my family safe. Everything on this truck serves a purpose, whether it's a common purpose, a not so common purpose, or extremely unlikely scenario. But what I have done in the past is I've done like a macro overview, like a walkthrough of the big things on this truck, like the camper shell, tent, awning, and all that stuff. What I want to do today is do another video and show you what my vehicle EDC looks like, if you will. So basically what never comes out of the truck, what stays in the truck no matter what. And yes, I do have the awning and tent on there right now. I'm going to be doing some overlanding probably like 3 or 4 days over the next week. And so that's why that's on there now. So I'll do some videos of that as well. I am coming through a bit of a respiratory infection, so I'll try to edit out any coughs, but bear with me. So what I'm going to do is just kind of work my way around the truck and then show you kind of how I have it packed, and then sort of get into the weeds a little bit on everything that's in there and what purpose it does serve. So the things I'm going to touch on and the purposes I've got for stuff is going to include like some tactical, some medical, some communications, general preparedness for like a mild mechanical issue, some like bare necessities for an extreme emergency situation. All right, so many of us men, specifically girls, if you're into this category too, then stay tuned if you want to. But most of us guys live out of our trucks for like, I mean, we're spending a lot of time in the truck. So this truck is like 3.5 years old. I got it in, I don't know, March of 22, so however old that is. So it's coming up on 4 years old, and it's already got 150,000 miles on it. That just tells you, like, it's my daily driver. I use it for work. I use it for getting around. And then for every road trip, this is the vehicle we use. What I've got here is a 21 or 22. It actually comes, like the VIN number comes back as a 2022 model, I've been told. The dealer said it was a 21, but we'll call it a 2021 F-150 XLT with the Rocky Ridge package on it. I've talked through that before in other videos. You guys can go take a look at those, but it did come from the lot with a 6-inch lift and 35s and 22s. Obviously I've gotten rid of those. I'm now at a 37 with a 17 on there, and it does have 373 gears in the back with a rear locking differential. So yes, if you think that that is not geared properly for these wheels and tires, yes, you are correct. I just haven't got around to it. I was getting ready to just change out the gearing, and the transmission blew on the truck. So I had to pay to get that done. That's the reason I haven't re-geared the truck yet. So, but as far as mechanically, that's what we're looking at. I do have the V8 in there. I wish I did have the twin turbo V6, but I don't. All right, so this is why I've got the setup I do, is because I'm in this truck every day. I don't like a bunch of clutter in the truck. So yes, my door pockets get full. I need to reclean those and everything, but you can see like this, the truck stays like sterile on the inside. So basically in here, so this is my bino harness. This stays back here all the time, but I've got my daughter's car seat and my gym bag back there. That's it. My dog stays with me all the time, and I don't want a bunch of junk in the seats all the time and in the floorboard. And having the system that I've got, having the purpose-built truck, allows me to keep everything neat. All right, so on the the driver's side of the truck, this is where I run the awning because it just makes sense. I do have another passenger side awning in the back, but the way that this tent sets up, it's like required to deploy on the passenger side. And so this awning has to be on the driver side for this truck. So here I've got the 20-liter fuel can. This stays empty almost all of the time. When I do fill it up, it's because we're on like a multiple night trip on some trails, something like that. Or if I'm on a road trip, maybe I've just like not dozed off, hopefully, but if I'm just sort of in like a drone mode and driving and I forgot, it's just another good backup to have. But it's like 5.5 gallons, I think, maybe right at 5 gallons. But this is super crucial to have. I really like our Bangers fuel cans because they do not rattle at all. So a lot of times you'll see the Roto packs mounted on people's trucks and they'll rattle like crazy, especially when they're full, but even when they're empty, ours don't rattle at all. And I've just got this bolted straight to the door. Another reason why I don't keep it full all the time is just because the struts that I have in here right now won't lift this door, won't hold it open when the fuel can's full. So the door's not going to open all the way right now because the fuel can will hit the awning, but you guys should be able to see in here just fine. So I've made a couple changes I'll get to here in a second, but right now I do have my chainsaw on the driver's side. It was on the passenger side with the rest of the recovery equipment, but I'll show you why it's over here in just a second. So this is the Milwaukee chainsaw. Yes, it's a hippie chainsaw, but I love it because I've got all the Milwaukee tools and I can just chuck the same battery inside of that and it works perfect. And I'm not using it for like full-time logging and stuff. It's just meant for emergencies if I need to cut a tree out of the trail or something like that, or some firewood, if you will. Hot tip I found online with these things, or just any chainsaw, I noticed that my side bin was getting full of like chainsaw grease. It was frustrating the crap out of me, and I just found some forum online, and some guy that knew what he was talking about evidently said if you'll just burp the reservoir for the chainsaw grease after you get done using it, it won't actually leak. So whenever I'm done using it, I'll just basically loosen this cap for the bar grease all the way out, let it kind of breathe a little bit, and then tighten it back in, and it doesn't leak. The other reason I have the electric one is because it fits in here a lot better. So I do keep a speaker in here, just strictly like leisure purposes. I do keep some of the canine stuff. This is like a little bite tug. Oh, she's like super dialed in right now because she knows that this is the side where I keep her stuff. I've got like a ball. Every time I'm over at the venue, I'll chuck it for her for about 30 minutes or so. But one of the things I do keep in here, this sort of gets into like extreme, emergency situations, is a fuel pump, so I can siphon gas out of cars. This would be like crap really hits the fan mode and I've got to get home, or there's, like this is zombie apocalypse kind of thinking right here. But I think it's really good to have. I haven't found a need for it. I haven't even obviously taken it out of the box yet, and I'm usually pretty adamant on taking stuff out of the box, but that's extreme scenarios if I need to get some fuel in my truck and I'm completely out. Extra water source here. I got another water source up here. The only reason I've got the scent killer in here is just because there's so many times in the past where I've been hunting and I've forgotten scent killer before. So I just leave that in there. It's not in the way. I got plenty of space for it. And then these pouches that I've got up here in the molly panel of the door, like I said, extra water, some trash bags, first aid equipment, and some like night vision maintenance tools up here. For first aid, I'll get into that in just a little bit, but I've got several different places in the truck where I keep some first aid stuff, and this is just sort of like an extra thing. This is for like, your second, third level trauma things that would be like less common you would run into. I wouldn't put tourniquets in a place that are hard to get to because, the first thing you need to do when you got somebody going through massive hemorrhage or they're bleeding a lot is get a tourniquet on there. So you don't want to have to be fumbling back here and trying to remember where you put a tourniquet. I do have one in there, but I do keep a tourniquet like in my fanny pack that I carry sometimes, and in the door of this truck, and in the glove box. So keep plenty of tourniquets on you. So in the shelves over here, different tiers of, I guess, how frequent I use this stuff. So at the bottom here, I've got sort of like a backup power box, and this box just contains a whole bunch of extra batteries. I've got my, this is a like cigarette plug charger for my refrigerator. And I got the cables that powers the lights inside of the awning, extra headlamps, basically extra power, if you will. And then as always, silica packets. Pro tip, keep silica packets around. Big plus there. I've got an oxygen boost thing. I've had this in the truck for like 3 years now, or longer. I think I moved it over from my other truck. But this is just like, in case me or somebody I'm hunting with, like over in Colorado, somebody gets like elevation sickness, that's something good to keep around. Also on the bottom shelf, starting with the waterproof bags, I've got a pair of thick wool winter socks, and then I've got a couple extra pairs of just like regular summer blend socks. I have had to use these before. I did recently have 2 pairs of winter socks in here, and I had to dig in here because I was short one or my feet got wet or something. So never can have too many extra pairs of socks. So those will get refilled whenever the other ones come out of the wash. In the green bag, I've got some winter stuff. So in here, I've got, this is a like a net gator balaclava situation. I've got one of the Banger wool beanies in here. And then this is just a down jacket that I got at Target. This was like 30 bucks. And I hate to say it, but this jacket actually keeps me a lot warmer than some of the expensive down jackets that I've bought before. So, bought. So, but it still squeezes down really easy. That's one of the good things about down, is you can pack them really tight. And so since it was so cheap and it's nice and warm, I just keep this in this stuff sack. And yeah, I have had to use this before. I've had to bust this out. So, all right. And then the yellow bag, this should be my rain. Yeah, this is my rain gear. So these are just the, I'm not gonna take both of them out, but this is the top and bottom layer of the Kuiu rain set. So this stuff works great in the rain, and also is an outer layer for cold weather situations. So that's why it's all kind of right there together. I have had to get out and do stuff when it's raining, and I don't carry an umbrella, so these come in super handy. Those things I just named off there's a lot of people that could have benefited from those, even here in Georgia in the last 5 to 10 years. We've had some freak snowstorms happen where cars have been stranded. People have been stranded in their cars on the side of the road, side of the highway, sometimes all night long. And there was even scenarios years ago that we call it the snowpocalypse in Atlanta, where somebody actually died because they just got cold. They just weren't prepared. They just got stuck in their vehicle all night. And they just didn't have the skills or knowledge to just walk home or call home, get help or whatever. So those, like, this takes up almost no space. So I have another string of lights for just camp setup. This thing's sweet. I got it on Amazon. I've actually had 2 or 3 of these before, and I've broken a bunch of them. But it also charges your phones if you want to. You know, the unit itself charges with sunlight, and you just untwist it, and then there's your string lights inside of there. Another backup water source here. This is the Life Straw Soft Bag. I have used this on a hunt, but I haven't had to use it in an emergency situation yet. Game cleaning knives, and then some extra heat packs, like for my back. You know, if it's just hurting me during a hunt or even at night, it'll keep you warm if you need it. So some of you guys may notice that I don't have the flip down shelf in here right now. I use that basically just for a bench when I do have it set up here. So it's too high to make sense cooking for how high my truck sits. And also, I don't like to cook back here anyways because it just gets grease all over everything. So I just use it for like reloading magazines or like reorganizing the power box or stuff like that. But it is nice to have that table here. But I did take it out recently when I moved the chainsaw over here. So the last thing on the driver's side box over here is I've got my Midland GMRS radio. I don't know if y'all can see with the lighting, but I'd keep it back here for some reasons I thought would be cool and practical, but it turns out it's probably not the best idea. You know, I thought, you know, with some of the construction I was doing, I could basically move my hand mic where I've got it routed now. There's a plug built in right here, and I can unplug this, bring my hand mic back, unplug the extension and plug the hand mic straight into there, and I could operate the radio from back here. I haven't actually used the radio like that back here before, but that's where I've got it set up, and I'm not gonna move it anytime soon. So that's gonna do it for the driver's side box right here. So we'll go ahead and move around to the passenger side box, and then we'll come back to the bed. All right, the lighting actually kind of sucks right now, so I'm trying to channel my inner camera nerd that I don't have and just flip the truck around. So on the passenger side, on the outside, you can see I've got some traction boards. I just put a new set on. Guys, I've gone through probably 4 sets of these before. yes, the teeth can break off, but they've only broke off for me when it's like they're not rooted down real hard, or if there's not enough weight on that tire. But the worst damage that I've done to them is actually using them to get an 18-wheeler unstuck from a construction site. Yes, they worked, and that's why I keep them around. So when it comes to the stuff I have mounted to the outside of this truck, like these, like the red traction boards, the red fuel can, I actually do not like that at all. It's just something that identifies the truck even more. It already stands out enough. So if I'm going to go for like a long stint of not actually doing off-roading and camping, and I'm not doing that much construction anymore, I will take these doors off and put on some side glass doors or some plain doors. I don't really like these things on there all the time, but I do use these a lot. But I haven't used these yet because I just swapped them out for some haggard ones I had on there earlier. So this is the biggest change that I've done recently. And what I did is I took out the shovel that was mounted in here, and I put my shower awning bolted to the bottom of the door. And you can see right now the struts are a little bit underpowered. I did swap these out for some 30K struts, but they're still not holding it perfect. So I'm going to bump these up to probably 35 or 40K struts, and then I'll be good to go. So the reason I put this here is because you guys can see this tent. The last tent that I was running is our hard shell wedge, and I can attach the shower awning and the 270 straight to the T-slots on the outside of the tent. This tent does not have that option. Hopefully this is available real soon on the Banger site. I just want to prototype the crap out of it and R&D it before we go live with it. It's just real expensive. I'm hesitant to do it. So I can't, because this flips out this direction, and there's no option to mount stuff to it. But I do use this thing when I've got my wife with me, and like if I'm gonna go number 2 in a spot where I can't just like go dig a hole or whatever, this thing's real handy. So on that note, this is my toilet. So this is, I don't know the brand of it. I think I just got it on Amazon. But if you just search like wag bags or camp portable toilet, something like that, you'll find out exactly what it is. I'm not going to bust it out. If you've used them, you know how they work. If not, you can go watch somebody else's video. I'm not like a toilet guy. This isn't a toilet channel. So, but I do keep probably a dozen of the actual wag bags in this toilet bag, or I probably keep about half a dozen there and another half dozen in the vault. So those are essential. I have gotten into a situation where I have had to use this on the side of the road. I talked about it in another video. We were in Grand Canyon National Park. I could not get to a bathroom fast enough, and luckily I did have this mounted to the tent when I had the last tent, and I literally on the side of the road in Grand Canyon National Park had to deploy this thing and use a wag bag. It was not pleasant, but it was much better than like hoping nobody saw me off in the woods. So yeah, got the toilet and this thing here, and you can see I have about 3 packs of wet wipes up here as well. So dude wipes, regular baby wipes, and then I've got a pack of like alcohol wipes to clean your hands with. Over here, this is just a bottle of soapy water. So the only this is not a normal thing for me, but I think I'm going to start doing this. Recently, I had to plug my passenger front tire, and I couldn't tell where the leak was coming from. So I got somewhere where I could get some Dawn and some water, or Dawn to put in the water, and sprayed it on and found the leak pretty easily. So I think I'm going to keep this around unless it just starts leaking or becomes an issue. So far, it's been about 2 weeks and I haven't had an issue with it. Large bottom shelf. I've got the Milwaukee compressor. I don't know what this thing is rated for as far as like what size tire it can blow up or the PSI limitations. I can tell you, I think it's 60 PSI, but I'm not positive on that. But I can tell you, it blows up my tires without an issue. We took this out to Utah, and I was the only one with a compressor. And even on one of the, let's see, I think it's the 8, or this, even on one of the 5.0 batteries, if it was close to full, it would fill up everybody's tire, absolutely no problem, and still have some juice left over. But I do keep the 12.0s around for that purpose, that and the chainsaw. So your machine, like your Milwaukee machines, do perform a little bit better when they've got the bigger batteries. So I do keep a couple of those around. but that compressor is fantastic. I have had to put over 70 psi in my rear bags before, and that compressor has pushed that out before, but I haven't found the limitations, but I haven't needed to go any harder than that. I've got the Jackery 300 Plus. This is a little bit less than what I probably need because I don't have a powertrain set up in this truck yet. That's one of the next things on the list, is getting like an RV onboard power setup. I haven't figured out how I want to run the solar yet. I can run solar on top of this tent pretty easily, but I've been contemplating putting an actual cab roof rack on this truck and putting some solar panels up. So that being said, if I do go that route, I won't need this anymore. I'll probably still keep it around just for backup, because when I pull out my Starlink or try to run the fridge all night, it'll drain this thing pretty easily. Starlink will cook this thing real fast. But the 1000, Brandon's got that one, and it does fantastic. It actually runs his electric cook plate no problem, runs the fridge no problem, and he's got the smaller Starlink. So this thing's just a little bit underpowered, but I do have the solar panel that goes with it back here, and then the electric cables that go with it as well. All right, so, and then I already showed you all the batteries that I've got for backup for all my Milwaukee M18 stuff. So up here, I've got a bag. This is the guy lines and the anchors for the awning. And then if I need it for like tying down an extra rain fly or something like that, I've got a bunch of anchors and guy lines in here. So in here, I've got like sand anchors, regular dirt anchors, real small tent anchors, and then all of the extra string that I would need to tie that down. All consolidated into one bag. I recently had to bust out one of my tow straps, and I'm actually using it right now on the hoist inside the shop, but I do have one tow strap in here still. I do keep this thing zip tied because it just helps it stay consolidated, and I've got a pile of zip ties you'll see later. Just keeps it nice and neat in here. And then up here, I do keep the master key around. This is probably on the same frequency level when it comes to usage as the fuel thief pump over there, but you never know. All right, so this gets into one of those situations where maybe your truck breaks down, or you're in an ice storm and the roads just are completely impassable, and you're walking distance to home, or you're walking distance to a hotel, or just to go get help or something like that. So this is just a waterproof backpack. Local Boy Outfitters, I'm not partnered with them or anything, but this is just a good waterproof backpack that I say good. It's just a waterproof bag with backpack straps on here. It's also got an emergency whistle on here if you need it. But the reason I have this in here is because if your truck breaks down or you need to get somewhere real quick that's in walking distance, I can take this bag out and I can shove stuff into it that I don't want to leave behind, or that I'm going to need for the walk or for that night or however much time. I've got something to carry that stuff. So this is sort of like like an alternative to a go bag. So I don't keep a go bag like ready in here because I use this stuff out of my truck. So the scenarios are unlikely where I'm not going to be able to push my truck further. So I don't keep everything packed ready to go. And I just don't want an extra bag and just like floating around the back of the truck. So I do have a go bag at home, but I don't keep it in the truck. So this is just for emergencies. If I need to grab stuff like maybe extra socks, baby wipes, some tools, some guns, whatever, I can shove in here and I can throw it on my back and I'm good to go. And it doesn't take up much space. It folds up real nice and just shoves up into the shelf right here. And then up inside of here, I don't know if you guys can see it, I do keep a little hatchet. For the longest time, I wasn't like a hatchet guy. I wasn't in the Eagle Scouts or anything, but this thing actually, I use it quite a bit just when we're camping, like just to like chop up firewood, make some kindling real quick. But it stays tucked up in here out of the way with these little clamps that just mount straight to the MOLLE panels in here. Also over here on the passenger side, I've got my water hose for my shower. If you guys haven't seen this before, how this works is it's got some water left over in there. How this works is I just pull the hose out. It's got the quick disconnect. Just plug it right in, good to go. And I turn it on. I got one of the aux beam buttons in there wired up to the water pump coming out of the tank. And that's how we take a shower. So this thing comes down And I would just reach this over into the shower and just spray myself off. Done it 1,000 times. It works fantastic. And then right here is the fuel port. So just undo the key, fill it up, holds 35 gallons, ready to roll. And so you can see, this is not like a banger spiel or anything, but this tent, like, I could afford for it to be like a little bit smaller, but for now it works, and it goes in here pretty neatly. As long as I get the bag in here kind of out of the way of the door latches, it shuts really good. And then we're good. All right, I hope the lighting is still decent. All right, so back here, the only two loose things that I have that drive me crazy right now, like I said, the shovel, I had to take off because of the shower awning when I installed it. And I've got an axe, and I just haven't found a great place to keep them just yet. I think how I'm gonna mount those is either like on top of the side boxes back here on the sides somewhere. But the shovel I do use quite a bit, like at elk camp. Or deer camp. I prefer to go dig myself a hole to go dookie. So I would use this for that instead of using a wag bag and like carrying my poop out with me. So I use this, and for recovery, absolutely. If you're going to be doing off-roading in any situation, I think a shovel goes a long way. And then the axe is the axe and this is the axe and maul combo. I don't even remember where I got it, but yeah, this thing is handy when it comes to just splitting firewood. All right, so I've talked about it plenty of times before, but the 35-gallon water tank is another thing that just like really separates my truck from the pack when it comes to long-term sustainability. So even if you're just driving for days on end, you get gross, and sitting in the truck, you just smell yourself. I know y'all know what I'm talking about, especially if you're in gym shorts, but I like to shower every day if I can, and that allows me to do that. Just rinse off real quick, use some soap and rinse off. And then I've got the marine fuel pump, or I've got the marine water pump mounted to the side of the side box in there, and it's fantastic. I can use it for washing dishes, I can use it for washing off the cooktop, anything like that, and then washing my bag off. Okay, also one thing that never leaves the truck is my fire extinguisher. This is the small, I think it's like basically a boat fire extinguisher, but it's got a quick release on it. So I just pull this tab and it comes off real easy and it's ready to go. So I can't recommend this enough for anybody that's doing any kind of trail riding or camping, even if you're going to just have a campfire. I've had some electrical issues because it's taken me a long time to learn how to do even decent wiring jobs on my truck. And so I've had some like real fire risks before on the trail before. And I've almost needed this. So one thing that's kind of like a sleeper piece of equipment for me is this paper towel holder back here. So Kristen got this for me off Amazon. It's just magnetic. It just goes to the camper top real easy. I can move it around. These blue paper towels, these like shop towels, don't like come unraveled real easy like kitchen paper towels will. And I can move this magnetic mount around and it's just right there. So if I'm cooking or doing whatever, I have a roll of paper towels right here, and I use it all the time. It's awesome. And while I'm just normal travel, it just stays right there, kind of out of the way. So if you guys watched my macro breakdown of the truck, like with all the big stuff, I talked about the deck drawers. I cannot say enough good things about the deck drawer. And I cannot think of a lot of scenarios where it would benefit you not to have these, because I know like you can put a four-wheeler on top of these things and it's not going to mess them up. All right, so over here in the driver's side drawer, how I want these to be packed is similar to how you would pack like your hiking pack or your rucksack. You want to be able to access the most frequently used items first. And so the reason I say that is because I've got these boxes in here, and I just like had to reteach myself this recently, but I had my toolbox and my kitchen box in here in the same drawer, and I would have to pull one box out, set it aside to get to the other one. So I haven't been doing any long-term camping recently, so I just have my kitchen and tools back here right now, and now I've moved them to alternating drawers. So like my 2 most used boxes I can get to much easier now. They're in separate drawers. So, but starting back here at the far rear, this is like my junk drawer. Don't judge me, everybody's got one. This is just sort of my catch-all. This thing needs to be reset like all the time, and yes, I did do it for this video. So some stuff that you might not think of that I've got in here, you might use more than you think. That's just like GoPro chest mount. Oh, my last video, or not the bow one, but that little cheap Academy rod and reel. I slammed the rod shut in my tailgate, so I've still got the reel. Gotta put it on a new rod. Waterproof GoPro case. Little Stanley flask. That way, when my brother brings his bourbon around, I can ask him for some and then fill my flask up. I've got a Yeti cup, and then I've got a Gold Bond. As you can see, definitely a pro tip to put it inside of a Ziploc bag. Pro tip to have this stuff for starters, but keep it in a Ziploc bag because it will leak. I got an extra set of binos. These are the shovel mounts, like the little clamps I was talking about earlier, for like keep my axe and shovel on. I've got a knife sharpener. Again, another pair of socks. I got a little cup and some extra headlamps, gloves for cleaning animals or cooking, extra hot hands. I've got the Warfighter tobacco, like I think it's called, like, oh yeah, the Ruck case for cigars. I don't really smoke any cigars, but I do keep that around. So that's just kind of like a catch-all bin, and I do love this because this thing can just like come out all in one piece, and I can move it to another box or just, you know, take it out for good if I need to put another box in here. I keep my Helinox chair around. This thing is turning into like a little bit of a hassle because of the new chairs that are on the market. But the one thing that doesn't change about this is that it packs up so nice. Like, I just chuck it in here. It's got a real high back. I can literally take a nap in it, lay my head back on it. This is the full-size one, the Sunset chair. Takes me about 20 seconds to set it up. And it's nice to have in here, whether like I'm at a ball game and forgot a chair. It's always nice to have a chair, whether you're at the shooting range, anywhere. It's always nice to have that thing. And then here I've got my kitchen box. So this is this box I don't take away from it, I just add to it. So like I always keep one bowl in here, I always keep fork and spoons in here, always silica packets. Definitely always keep aluminum foil around. This has got a ton of uses to it. Definitely keep Ziploc bags. You don't want to be wasteful. Like if you cook a little more than you can eat, you can always put more, put leftovers in the aluminum foil or Ziploc bags. Spatulas, little extra hygiene stuff. I can't tell you how many times I've showed up to training, forgotten a razor and needed to shave. So I keep those around all the time. And instead of, hey, can I borrow some toothpaste? I've always got extra in here somewhere. Cutting board, I mentioned the bowl, and then this little case right here, it's kind of like my little spruce up case. So I keep some seasoning, knives, salt, pepper. I think this is like garlic rosemary seasoning. My jet boil. This thing is great if you've got the like any kind of cooktop, really, but this works really well for the Timbo Tusk cooker y'all have seen me use before. When that thing's hot with a little bit of water on there, I can just scrape this thing real good. I can just scrape the cooker real good, and then I can also use this for plates. So if I'm rinsing it off, I can scrape it real easily. I keep plenty of extra fuel for the jet boils. I keep a little case of olive oil and dish soap, which I don't use very much. And then extra fire starter, matches, and some Lysol for cleaning off surfaces. Vitamin C gummies. These are airborne gummies. This is really good to keep around, especially when you go to hunt camp, because you get around people that don't have the same hygiene habits as you. A little immuno boost there. Wine opener for when Kristen's with me. And that's it for the kitchen box. So when I say I add to it, I might add like a pair of tongs, another spatula, some more seasoning, extra bowls, extra forks. stuff like that. Like I said, won't take away, but I will add to it. I don't keep much food around, but I do keep enough for emergencies. So this is the smaller, I think it's like the half pack box you can get on deck. So I keep a pack of rice, honey. This has a lot of calories. It's really good for you. I'm not getting into diet stuff. Some tuna packets, some freeze-dried meals. This is the Walmart brand. I'm sorry, Walmart, but these things freaking suck. That's why they're in here. These are like straight up emergency only. I got some electrolytes. So Drip Drop, we've been using these in the military for years. they're so awesome for getting you some salts and electrolytes in your body real quick. And I've got some Celsius packets in here for caffeine. But that's just enough for emergencies, or if I do a little impromptu camp real quick, I know I've got food. I don't have to worry about it. At least I don't have to worry about going hungry. I'm not going to eat like a king, but at least I know I've got some kind of sustenance. All right. So moving on to the passenger side box here, or passenger side drawer. This is my toolbox. So I'm actually going to pull this out and shut this. So in here, I've got like a little bit of everything. And like I said earlier, I'm not a mechanic like by any means. Like I can do very few things when it comes to a truck. But I do end up needing tools, whether it's I'm doing some construction stuff or I'm working for Kristen at the venue. But this is just stuff that I've used this box so many times. There's been weeks where I've got into it every day. So in this little box, I've got, this is like bits and blades. So jigsaw blades, drill bits, oscillator bits, or oscillator blades rather. A handful of like real small zip ties in here. I've got a box of like driver bits, drill bits. And then in here, I've got some more sanitizing alcohol wipes. There are so many uses for zip ties. I can't recommend enough having these. The only other thing I would say that kind of equate to these would be electrical tape, and I don't have it in here, of course. So a little towel, tire repair things. I have these zip tied because I don't like stuff just flopping around if I don't have to. A screwdriver, knife. This thing's freaking sweet. Customer made this for me. And that's why I've got the sharpener. So extra set of wrenches that won't fit in this box. Some gloves, more latex gloves. I keep my drill in here, my Milwaukee driver, and a battery charger. So I do normally keep a M18 charger in here, but that is at the venue because I've been using a bunch of that over there lately. And then here I've got, this is just to help consolidate all of the small tools. So in here I keep, just real quick for example, I keep some Allen tools, more wrenches, more zip ties, screwdrivers, knife, tire plugs, tire sealer, some electrical, whatever you call these things. Yeah, where you put wires together. That is it for the toolbox. And then I've got one sort of like an extra box in here right now. The only thing I've got in here is just like a camp table. When I go to training or guard drill, sometimes we don't want to sleep on a cot in the drill hall, so we just sleep in our rooftop tents, and then we'll have a little camp and cook out outside. So yes, that is overlanding in the parking lot, and yes, I'll probably do a video of that because it's actually a good time getting back together with the boys. And then this is an extra little shoe bag for my tent. Silica packets in there. So that's it for the deck drawers and kind of the bed as a whole, other than these little compartments in here. I've got jumper cables. I've got some ratchet straps, a bag of bungees, and then looks like my dirt bike charger's in there. And then I always keep a citronella candle. Being in the South, you can't have a good time when mosquitoes are carrying you away. So, and then there's my chainsaw chain and bar oil. So that is it for the bed. All right, guys, I'm not going to actually open this vault and show you what's inside. I really don't even want to. I don't want people knowing that this is in here really, but so far the odds have been pretty slim that I actually run into somebody who watches this show or channel, whatever. So, but I did want to talk about why it's in here and the purpose that it serves. So this is made by Tuffy Products. I actually saw this by a buddy of mine, Kyle Morgan. Some of you guys might know, did a video with EOTech, and he talked about this product before. He's got a little different latch setup on his with the combination locks. But I've been at training before where we're just kind of like in garrison mode, and I didn't bring a kit, like none of us brought our kits with us, and there was like riots happening, there was hurricanes situations that have happened before, and it's like, crap, none of us have our kit. And so now I've got this set up to where I can keep anything I need to kind of like deploy into a tactical environment, kit up real quick, and I'm good to go. So this is like anywhere from National Guard stuff increasing in a matter of hours and me having that stuff on hand, all the way to really nasty situations like the fuel thief pump scenario where like there's a complete state of unrest or there's some really gnarly crap going on and I need to get this and go. So those situations where I talk about pulling the bag out of the truck and taking that stuff and moving in a hurry, this stuff would go with me. So I do have enough to do some damage and protect my family. I don't rely on this if I get like surrounded in some kind of weird riot. I do have other guns in the truck to get to really quick. This is the stuff that I need to get to where like stuff's really bad or I'm just far from home and need to get into a tactical setup real quick. So that's why that's here, and it stays locked up and stays in the truck anytime I need it. Ashi, place. All right, I would be remiss if I didn't mention my favorite piece of vehicle EDC, which is Ashi here. She's a 3-year-old Belgian Malinois. I've had her for a year and a half and absolutely love her. She knows, like I said earlier, she knows exactly what's in that box. And so she's laser focused on it anytime. So this is my ride or die. She goes with me everywhere I go. We're getting ready to go to the gym. She does fantastic, whether it's the grocery store, gym, work, anywhere. So she's perfect. She is protection trained. She's service trained. She's not finished in her protection work, which it's an ongoing thing, but these dogs, I can tell you, like when they say it's everyday work, they are not kidding. These dogs need work every single day, but they absolutely freaking love it. All right, guys, that is going to be it for today's video. I'm sorry if this video was a little harder to digest than normal. I just kind of got into the weeds a little bit, but I do think later on down the road I'll do something that's a little bit easier to digest, maybe break things down into categories, keep it a little more of a 5,000 foot view kind of concept. So as far as right now goes, please do me a favor, like, comment, subscribe, all that cringe stuff. And if you're going to comment, don't be a comment critic. Like all this stuff is so much of this stuff is subject to opinion. I do think that like my experience, my credentials give me like somewhat of a credible opinion on a lot of this stuff, but I'm not a technical off-road guy. This is not a technical off-road truck, but I'm also not a newbie when it comes to gear, when it comes to training, when it comes to preparedness. So again, guys, thanks so much for watching. I'll catch you next time.